The crystalline spires of the galactic archives pierce the violet skies of Centauri Prime, their surfaces reflecting the light of 3 setting suns. Within the highest chamber of the central tower, Archive Master Vina Kuhl stood motionless, her iridescent scales shifting colors as she processed the holographic data floating before her. "Impossible," she whispered, her 4 eyes widening as she reviewed the findings for the 7th time. The data couldn't be wrong, the archives never were, but the implications threatened to shatter 12,000 years of accepted galactic history. The chamber's security field hummed as first speaker Lysandra entered, her biomechanical exoskeleton clicking softly against the polished floor. "Archive Master, your emergency broadcast interrupted the Council's Unity ceremony. This had better be significant." Venus' scales rippled with barely contained excitement. "First speaker, what I've discovered, it changes everything we thought we knew about the Great Void Era." The Great Void Era, a 5,000-year period of darkness in galactic history, where countless civilizations had mysteriously vanished, leaving behind only fragments and whispers. It was the galaxy's greatest unsolved mystery. "Explain," Lysandra commanded, her crystalline sensors focusing on the holographic display. "Our deep space probes were scanning the forbidden sectors of the Orpheus Arm when they detected something extraordinary." Venus' fingers danced through the air, manipulating the holographic data. "A signal, buried beneath layers of quantum interference. It led us to this." The hologram shifted, revealing a massive structure floating in the void, a station of impossible geometry, its surface covered in patterns that seemed to bend reality itself. "We found the Nexus," Vina announced, her voice trembling. "The mythical hub of the precursor network. But that's not the most extraordinary part." She zoomed in on a section of the station's hull, revealing inscriptions that pulsed with an inner light. Lysandra leaned forward, her exoskeleton whirring as it adjusted to her movement. "These markings, they're not precursor script." "No," Vina confirmed. "They're human." The word hung in the air like a physical thing. Humans, the legendary species that appeared in the myths of 1,000 worlds. Some called them demons, others gods, but most dismissed them as fiction, cautionary tales told to young ones about the dangers of unbridled advancement. "Archive Master, surely you're not suggesting—" "The evidence is irrefutable," Vina interrupted, bringing up more data streams. "We've cross-referenced these signatures with every known civilization in our records. The quantum dating confirms it. This station was built during the height of the Great Void Era, and it was built by humans." Lysandra's exoskeleton hummed as it processed her increasing stress levels. "If you're right, this contradicts everything we know about galactic history. The Council teaches that the Great Void Era was a time of technological regression, yet you're claiming a single species had mastered technologies we can barely comprehend." "Not just mastered," Vina corrected, her scales shifting to a deep blue of certainty. "They transcended them. Look at this." She pulled up another hologram, showing energy readings from the station. The entire structure operates on principles we've never seen before. It's not just advanced technology. It's as if they discovered a completely different path of scientific evolution. The first speaker was silent for a long moment, her sensors processing the implications. "Why haven't we found any trace of them before now? A civilization capable of building something like this?" "That's the most fascinating part," Vina said, pulling up yet another data stream. "We have found traces. We just didn't recognize them. These energy signatures match anomalies we detected across the galaxy for centuries. The humans didn't vanish during the Great Void Era. They were everywhere, hidden in plain sight." Lysandra's exoskeleton locked into place, a sign of major cognitive processing. "Are you suggesting they still exist?" "I'm suggesting more than that," Vina said, her scales shifting to the gold of revelation. "I believe they're watching us right now. Look at these activity patterns." She highlighted several energy spikes in the data. "The station isn't dormant, it's active. and it's been responding to our presence since the moment we detected it. The crystalline spires of the galactic archives pierce the violet skies of Centauri Prime, their surfaces reflecting the light of 3 setting suns. Within the highest chamber of the central tower, Archive Master Vina Kotol stood motionless, her iridescent scales shifting colors as she processed the holographic data floating before her. "Impossible," she whispered, her 4 eyes widening as she reviewed the findings for the 7th time. The data couldn't be wrong. The archives never were, but the implications threatened to shatter 12,000 years of accepted galactic history. The chamber security field hummed as first speaker Lysandra entered, her biomechanical exoskeleton clicking softly against the polished floor. "Archive Master, your emergency broadcast interrupted the Council's Unity ceremony. This had better be significant." Venus' scales rippled with barely contained excitement. "First speaker, what I've discovered, it changes everything we thought we knew about the Great Void Era." The Great Void Era, a 5,000-year period of darkness in galactic history, where countless civilizations had mysteriously vanished, leaving behind only fragments and whispers. It was the galaxy's greatest unsolved mystery. "Explain," Lysandra commanded, her crystalline sensors focusing on the holographic display. "Our deep space probes were scanning the forbidden sectors of the Orpheus Arm when they detected something extraordinary." Venus' fingers danced through the air, manipulating the holographic data. "A signal, buried beneath layers of quantum interference. It led us to this." The hologram shifted, revealing a massive structure floating in the void, a station of impossible geometry, its surface covered in patterns that seemed to bend reality itself. "We found the Nexus," Vina announced, her voice trembling. "The mythical hub of the precursor network. But that's not the most extraordinary part." She zoomed in on a section of the station's hull, revealing inscriptions that pulsed with an inner light. Lysandra leaned forward, her exoskeleton whirring as it adjusted to her movement. "These markings, they're not precursor script." "No," Vina confirmed. "They're human." The word hung in the air like a physical thing. Humans, the legendary species that appeared in the myths of 1,000 worlds. Some called them demons, others gods, but most dismissed them as fiction, cautionary tales told to young ones about the dangers of unbridled advancement. "Archive Master, surely you're not suggesting—" "The evidence is irrefutable," Vina interrupted, bringing up more data streams. "We've cross-referenced these signatures with every known civilization in our records. The quantum dating confirms it. This station was built during the height of the Great Void Era, and it was built by humans." Lysandra's exoskeleton hummed as it processed her increasing stress levels. "If you're right, this contradicts everything we know about galactic history. The Council teaches that the Great Void Era was a time of technological regression, yet you're claiming a single species had mastered technologies we can barely comprehend." "Not just mastered," Vina corrected, her scales shifting to a deep blue of certainty. "They transcended them. Look at this." She pulled up another hologram, showing energy readings from the station. "The entire structure operates on principles we've never seen before. It's not just advanced technology, it's as if they discovered a completely different path of scientific evolution." The first speaker was silent for a long moment, her sensors processing the implications. "Why haven't we found any trace of them before now? A civilization capable of building something like this?" "That's the most fascinating part," Vina said, pulling up yet another data stream. "We have found traces, we just didn't recognize them. These energy signatures match anomalies we detected across the galaxy for centuries. The humans didn't vanish during the Great Void Era, they were everywhere, hidden in plain sight." Lysandra's exoskeleton locked into place, a sign of major cognitive processing. "Are you suggesting they still exist?" "I'm suggesting more than that," Vina said, her scales shifting to the gold of revelation. "I believe they're watching us right now. Look at these activity patterns." She highlighted several energy spikes in the data. "The station isn't dormant, it's active, and it's been responding to our presence since the moment we detected it. A low hum filled the chamber as new data streamed in. Both Vina and Lysandra froze as symbols began appearing in the air before them, forming into words in perfect modern galactic standard. P-O-R-O-2-C-L-O-R-A-N-I-C-A-T-D. Humanity WELCOMES, the Shehildren of the STS, the time of REVLATIO and approaches. By the first light, Lysandra whispered, her exoskeleton's stress indicators reaching critical levels. What have we awakened? Before Vina could respond, every holographic display in the chamber flared with brilliant light. When it faded, a new message hung in the air. Coordinates follow. Come find US. Below the message, a string of navigation data pointed to a location in the darkest, most unexplored region of the galaxy, a place where no council ship had ever returned from. First speaker, Vina said, her scales now pulsing with multiple colors in rapid succession. I request permission to assemble an expedition team. Lysandra's exoskeleton finally relaxed, settling into the rhythmic hum of decision-making. Permission granted, Archive Master. But understand this, if humans truly exist, if they've been watching us all this time, then nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same after today. As if in response, one final message appeared. And that Shehildren of the STRs is plurisize has EOITE point. The great Salipi NDS. Humanity rises once more. The messages vanished, leaving Vina and Lysandra standing in the suddenly quiet chamber, both knowing that they stood at the precipice of the galaxy's greatest discovery, or perhaps its greatest awakening. The hunt for humanity had begun. The expedition vessel Stellar Seeker emerged from quantum space at the provided coordinates, its advanced sensors immediately overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what lay before them. Archive Master Vina Kutol stood on the observation deck, her scales shifting through shades of awe as she beheld the impossible. A massive artificial structure hung suspended in the void, not the nexus they discovered earlier, but something far more extraordinary. It was a perfect sphere, approximately the size of a small moon, its surface covered in what appeared to be continually shifting geometric patterns that defied conventional physics. Energy readings are unprecedented, announced Chief Science Officer Rax, their crystalline form glowing with excitement. The sphere appears to be constructed from some form of quantum-entangled matter. By all known laws of physics, it shouldn't exist. First speaker Lysandra's exoskeleton whirred as she processed the data streaming through her neural interface. Are we detecting any signs of life? Life. Rax's crystalline facets sparkled with amusement. First speaker, we're detecting everything. The sphere is generating energy signatures matching every known form of civilization we've ever encountered, plus thousands we've never seen before. Vina moved closer to the observation window, her scales rippling with anticipation. It's a library, she whispered. No, more than that. It's an archive of humanity itself. As if responding to her words, a beam of light shot out from the sphere, scanning their vessel. Before anyone could react, a voice echoed through their ship's communications system, not in modern galactic standard, but in thousands of languages simultaneously, each one perfectly clear and distinct. Well, soam, CEKERs of Nen OWLEGE. Tehran Historical RCIV EPS ILN 7, a Kekan OWLEGGs, your essence. State your purpose. Lysandra stepped forward, her exoskeleton adapting to project her voice with appropriate authority. We are representatives of the Galactic Council, responding to coordinates provided by the Nexus facility. We seek knowledge of humanity. A moment of silence followed, during which the geometric patterns on the sphere's surface began rotating and realigning themselves into increasingly complex configurations. Purpose 8 CKNOWLEGE. Preparing historical ANTRFAC. Caution. What you are about may fundamentally alter your understanding of reality. The beam of light expanded, enveloping their entire ship in a gentle golden glow. Suddenly, the observation deck transformed around them, reality itself seeming to fold and unfold like origami made of starlight. They found themselves standing on what appeared to be a planet's surface, Earth, the legendary homeworld of humanity. But this was not the dead world their records spoke of. This was Earth in its prime, teeming with life and achievement. A holographic figure materialized before them, a human female, her appearance shifting between different ethnic variations as she spoke. I am AORI, Advanced Research Intelligence Archive. I serve as the custodian of humanity's legacy. What you are experiencing is a direct neural interface with our historical records. You are not merely observing our history, you are living it. The scene around them changed rapidly, showing glimpses of human civilization's evolution. Cities rising from wilderness, vehicles evolving from primitive wheeled constructs to gravity-defying vessels, humans reaching for the stars with increasingly sophisticated technology. But this contradicts everything we know. Rax protested, their crystalline form vibrating with confusion. Our records indicate that Earth was destroyed in a cataclysmic event during the Great Void Era. Alaria's expression showed a hint of amusement. Earth was not destroyed, it was hidden, along with the rest of humanity's primary achievements. What your records documented was an elaborate deception designed to protect both humanity and the galaxy at large. The scene shifted again, showing humans working alongside various alien species, many of which had long since gone extinct. Humanity discovered something during their early expansion into space, AOIA continued. A pattern that repeated itself across countless civilizations. Advanced species would inevitably destroy themselves upon reaching certain technological thresholds. The Great Filter, Vina whispered, her scales paling at the implications. Precisely, AOIA confirmed, but humans found a way to bypass it. Instead of pursuing conventional technological advancement, they discovered what they called quantum consciousness, the ability to manipulate reality itself through directed thought and collective consciousness. The scene changed once more, showing humans performing what appeared to be impossible feats, manipulating matter with their minds, traveling between dimensions, creating and destroying energy at will. This power came with tremendous responsibility, AOIA explained. Humanity realized that releasing such knowledge into the galaxy too soon would lead to catastrophic consequences. So they made a choice to become the galaxy's hidden guardians, watching and protecting younger civilizations until they were ready for the truth. Lysandra's exoskeleton crackled with static as she processed this information. Why reveal yourselves now? Because the galaxy faces a threat greater than the Great Filter, Araya replied, her form solidifying into something more ominous. The Void Hunters have awakened, entities that exist between dimensions, feeding on civilizations that achieve quantum consciousness without proper preparation. They are drawn to advancement like moths to flame, and they are coming. The holographic display showed massive, shadowy beings moving between stars, consuming entire civilizations in darkness. Humanity has held them back for millennia, but we can no longer do it alone. The galaxy must unite and evolve, or everything will be lost. That's why you left the coordinates, Vina realized, her scales now pulsing with a deep purple of understanding. You're recruiting us. No, Araya corrected, her form now radiating with intense light. We're offering you a choice. Join us in defending reality itself, or watch as everything you know disappears into the void. Humanity has hidden long enough. The time has come for all species to face the ultimate challenge together. The holographic display faded, returning them to the observation deck. Through the windows, the sphere had changed. Its surface now displayed a single message in every known language. The choice is yours, but Chichiju's Kuaitskeli. The hunters aptly roach. As if to emphasize his point, Their ship's long-range sensors began detecting massive disturbances in the fabric of space-time, approaching from all directions. Vina, Lysandra, and Rax exchanged looks, knowing that this moment would change the course of galactic history forever. The question was no longer about discovering humanity's past. It was about ensuring there would be a future for any civilization to discover. The real test was just beginning. The Stellar Seeker's quantum drive hummed with unusual frequency as it carried its crew back toward Galactic Council space. The ship's corridors buzzed with nervous energy as the crew processed what they'd witnessed at the archive sphere. But in the vessel's secure conference chamber, an even more extraordinary event was unfolding. Auria's holographic form hovered above the central table, her appearance now stabilized into that of a dignified older human with silver hair and eyes that seemed to contain galaxies. Around her sat the expedition's leadership, Vina K'Tol, her scales now a deep shade of midnight blue, reflecting her focused state. First speaker Lysandra, her exoskeleton modified to handle the quantum interference Auria's presence generated, and Chief Science Officer Rax, their crystalline form refracting the holographic light in mesmerizing patterns. The Guardian Protocol was humanity's greatest achievement, Auria explained, generating complex holographic models in the air, not because of its power, but because of its restraint. The hologram expanded, showing a vast network of interconnected points spanning the galaxy. What you're seeing is the true structure of reality, not just physical space, but the quantum consciousness layer that underlies everything. Humanity discovered this network wasn't natural. It was engineered. Rax's crystalline surfaces flickered with disbelief. You're suggesting the galaxy itself is artificial. Not the galaxy, Auria corrected, zooming the display into one of the connection points. The consciousness framework that allows sentient life to exist within it. The Void Hunters didn't evolve. They're immune response systems designed to prevent unauthorized access to the framework. Vina leaned forward, her scales shifting to the gold of revelation. Access by whom? By whoever created this reality, Auria said simply. Humanity discovered we're living in what amounts to a cosmic computer simulation, but one so complex and vast that it generates genuine consciousness and real physical laws. The Void Hunters activate when any civilization gets close to discovering this truth. Lysandra's exoskeleton emitted a low hum of distress. If this is true, why haven't these hunters destroyed humanity already? Auria's form flickered with what might have been pride, because humanity chose not to fight them or try to break free of the simulation. Instead, we learned to work within it, becoming part of its maintenance system. The Guardian Protocol isn't a weapon, it's an administrative access key. The holographic display shifted, showing humans in deep meditation states, their consciousness extending into the quantum framework. We became reality's debuggers, fixing quantum anomalies, preventing paradoxes, and protecting younger civilizations from accessing dangerous knowledge too quickly. The Void Hunters recognized us as allies rather than threats. Suddenly, the ship's emergency alerts blared. On the external displays, space itself seemed to ripple and tear. They're here, Auria announced, her form growing more intense. Earlier than expected, the Hunters have detected your new knowledge and are coming to evaluate your civilization's readiness. Through the tiers in space emerged massive entities that defied description, geometric shapes that seemed to exist in more dimensions than the mind could process, trailing quantum distortions in their wake. What do we do? Vina asked, her scales now pale with anxiety. You prove yourselves, Auria replied. The Guardian Protocol requires conscious choice and acceptance. Humanity cannot simply give you protection, you must earn it. Each of you represents a different aspect of galactic civilization. Each must make a choice that proves your species' worthiness. The ship shuddered as the Void Hunters surrounded it. Auria's form split into three, addressing each leader individually. To Vina, you represent knowledge and wisdom. Your choice will be between preserving your civilization's history or accepting a new truth that invalidates it. To Lysandra, you embody order and governance. You must choose between maintaining control and surrendering it for the greater good. To Rax, you symbolize scientific advancement. Your choice lies between proven theories and impossible possibilities. The chamber's reality began to warp as the Void Hunter's presence intensified. Outside, space itself seemed to be folding inward, creating a pocket dimension around the ship. The trials begin now, HFY announced. Each of you will face your test simultaneously, but separately. Success means your civilizations join humanity as guardians of reality. Failure means the hunters will enact their protocols, and your species will be reset to a pre-industrial state. The chamber split into 3 distinct reality bubbles, each leader facing their own personalized trial. Vina found herself in an infinite library where every book contradicted every other book. Lysandra stood in a control room where every decision led to both salvation and destruction. Rax materialized in a laboratory where the laws of physics themselves awaited redefinition. Aria's voice echoed through all realities. Remember, the goal isn't to win, it's to understand. Humanity learned that the greatest power lies not in controlling reality, but in accepting our role within it. As the trials began in earnest, the Void Hunters watched through dimensional barriers, their incomprehensible forms shifting between states of observation and judgment. The fate of entire civilizations now rested on 3 individuals' ability to transcend their own limitations and embrace a larger truth. In the quantum framework underlying everything, patterns of energy shifted and realigned. Humanity's hidden watchers observed from their dimensional enclaves, hoping these representatives of younger species would understand what had taken humanity centuries to learn. That true advancement comes not from conquering reality, but from becoming its willing stewards. The Guardian Protocol had begun its test, and the galaxy would never be the same. Within the quantum bubbles surrounding the Stellar Seeker, 3 trials unfolded simultaneously across different planes of reality. Each test would determine not just individual worth, but the cosmic readiness of entire civilizations. In Vina Ktoll's trial dimension, infinite knowledge stretched before her in a library that defied physics. Her scales shifted through rainbow patterns as she faced her ultimate test. Every book she opened revealed a different version of her civilization's history, some showing her people as conquerors, others as peacekeepers, still others as cosmic accidents. Which version is true? She whispered, her scales now a confused swirl of colors. All of them, none of them. A human figure materialized, not Aoia, but an ancient librarian, his form flickering between physical and energy states. Truth isn't a destination, Archive Master. It's a journey. Meanwhile, in Lysandra's reality bubble, the first speaker's exoskeleton crackled with overload as she faced an impossible control panel. Each button before her would save one civilization but doom another. The quantum calculations running through her neural interface showed no solution that didn't end in at least partial catastrophe. There must be a way to save everyone, she insisted, her mechanical components straining to process the variables. Must there? Asked another human manifestation, this one appearing as a young child playing with building blocks of pure energy. Sometimes the greatest leadership comes from knowing when not to lead. In Rax's trial space, the crystalline scientist faced a laboratory where quantum particles behaved like biological entities and organic matter followed mathematical laws that shouldn't exist. Every experiment they conducted proved their most fundamental scientific understanding both perfectly accurate and completely wrong. These results are impossible, Rax protested, their crystalline form vibrating with intellectual distress. Impossible is just another word for unexplored, said a third human aspect, this one shifting between male and female forms while solving equations in the air with casual gestures. Science isn't about proving what's possible, it's about questioning what's impossible. As each leader struggled with their trial, the Void Hunter's presence intensified. Their incomprehensible forms began interacting with the test environments, adding new layers of complexity to each challenge. In Vena's library, books began writing themselves. In Lysandra's control room, cause and effect became untethered from temporal sequence. In Rax's laboratory, the distinction between observer and observed blurred completely. Then, in a moment of synchronized revelation, each leader understood. Vena stopped trying to find the true history and began understanding how all versions contributed to a larger truth. Her scales settled into a new color never before seen in her species, the color of acceptance. History isn't about what happened, she declared. It's about what we learn from every possible thing that could have happened. In her control room, Lysandra stepped back from the panel and allowed her exoskeleton to power down completely. In that moment of surrendered control, she saw how each civilization's choices created patterns that balanced themselves naturally when not forced into artificial order. True governance, she realized, is knowing when to let the universe govern itself. Rax, in their laboratory, stopped trying to reconcile the impossible results and instead began exploring how they could all be simultaneously true. Their crystalline form began resonating with frequencies that bridged the gap between conventional physics and quantum consciousness. The only constant in science, they announced, is the constant of change itself. The moment these realizations synchronized, Aoia's full form reappeared simultaneously in all three spaces, and the trials collapsed back into a single reality. The Stellar Seeker's chamber reformed around them, but now they could all see the quantum framework underlying physical space, and the Void Hunters watching with what could only be described as approval. "You understand now," Aoia said, her form radiating with pleased energy. "The Guardian Protocol isn't about having power, it's about understanding power. Humanity didn't become reality's custodians by conquering the quantum framework. We earned that role by accepting our place within it." The Void Hunters' forms shifted, their geometric patterns aligning into configurations that somehow conveyed acceptance. One by one, they began dissolving back into the quantum fabric of space, but not before imparting something to each of the leaders. Vena received the ability to read the quantum signatures of historical events, seeing all possible versions simultaneously. Lysandra's exoskeleton was upgraded with the ability to process multi-dimensional governance patterns. Rax's crystalline form was enhanced to perceive and interact with quantum consciousness directly. "These are not rewards," Aoria explained as the transformation took place. "They are responsibilities. You are now part of the Guardian Protocol. Your civilizations will not be uplifted immediately. That would be dangerous. Instead, you will guide them gradually toward understanding, just as humanity's hidden guardians have done for millennia." The quantum bubble around the ship began to dissolve, revealing normal space once more. But to the enhanced perception of the three leaders, reality would never look normal again. They could see the quantum framework pulsing beneath physical space, the hidden human watchers stationed throughout the galaxy, and the intricate dance of consciousness and energy that made up the cosmic computer they called reality. "What now?" Lysandra asked, her new quantum-enhanced systems adapting to the expanded awareness. "Now," Aoria said with a smile that seemed to ripple through multiple dimensions, "the real work begins. The Void Hunters will return, bringing greater tests, but you won't face them alone. Humanity has watched from the shadows long enough. It's time for all sentient species to face the future together." As if to emphasize this point, new quantum signatures began appearing throughout nearby space, hidden human outposts decloaking, ancient facilities reactivating, and dormant technologies awakening. The galaxy was transforming, not through sudden upheaval, but through the carefully orchestrated revelation of what had been there all along. The rise of the Forgotten had begun, and with it, a new chapter in galactic history. But as the three leaders would soon learn, this was only the beginning of a much larger awakening. The great amphitheater of the Galactic Council hummed with unprecedented energy as representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered for what would become known as the Convergence Summit. 3 months had passed since the trials aboard the Stellar Seeker, and the galaxy was transforming in ways that defied conventional understanding. Vina Kutol stood at the central podium, her scales now permanently shifted to that new, impossible color that reflected her enhanced perception of reality. Behind her, a massive quantum display showed real-time visualizations of the approaching threat, massive void distortions at the galaxy's edge, far larger than anything the Void Hunters had previously manifested. "What we face is not merely an external threat," she announced, her voice carrying through both physical and quantum space. "The approaching storm is reality itself seeking balance. Our very existence has created a quantum debt that must be reconciled." In the front row, Lissandra's upgraded exoskeleton processed data streams from thousands of human outposts that had revealed themselves across the galaxy. Next to her, Rax's crystalline form pulsed with complex patterns as they coordinated with human scientists to integrate quantum consciousness technology with conventional physics. Auria's holographic form materialized beside Vina, but this time she wasn't alone. With her stood a council of human representatives, their forms shifting between physical and energy states, the first public appearance of humanity's hidden leaders in over 10,000 years. "The Void Hunters we encountered were merely sentinels," announced First Guardian Sarah Chen, her form crackling with quantum energy. "What approaches now is the source code of reality itself, seeking to debug what it perceives as corrupted programs, our civilizations." The quantum display shifted, showing the true nature of the threat. The void distortions weren't just tears in space-time. They were fragments of the universe's base programming becoming visible as reality's fundamental code began to break down. Humanity's greatest discovery wasn't quantum consciousness, Sarah continued, generating complex models in the air. It was the realization that consciousness itself is a form of cosmic code. Every thought, every decision, every advancement adds new lines to reality's programming. But like any complex system, it requires maintenance and optimization. Lysandra stood, her exoskeleton projecting her voice across multiple dimensional frequencies. "You're saying we've corrupted reality's programming simply by existing." "Not corrupted, corrected," another human guardian, his form composed entirely of mathematical equations. "Evolved it. Reality is meant to grow, to become more complex. But evolution requires stability. The approaching storm isn't coming to destroy us. It's coming to test whether our collective consciousness can handle the next level of cosmic complexity." The amphitheater erupted in discussion, thousands of species trying to grasp the implications. Rax raised their crystalline form, refracting light in patterns that demanded attention. "What you're describing isn't just a crisis," they observed. "It's an evolutionary bottleneck. Either we prove ourselves worthy of cosmic consciousness, or reality itself will implement a rollback protocol." "Precisely," Aoria confirmed. "This is why humanity hid for so long. We needed to guide the galaxy's consciousness development gradually, preparing for this moment. But now time has run out. The storm comes whether we're ready or not." Suddenly, the quantum display flared with urgent alerts. The void distortions at the galaxy's edge had begun moving faster, consuming light and matter in their wake. But unlike the Void Hunters' controlled destruction, this was reality itself unraveling. "We have perhaps 3 standard months," Sarah announced, her form intensifying. "In that time, we must teach every spacefaring civilization the basics of quantum consciousness manipulation, not for power, but for stability." "Impossible," shouted one of the council members. "You can't expect us to master in months what took humanity millennia." "We don't have to," Vina interjected, her scales pulsing with newfound purpose. "Look at the quantum framework. Really look." The assembled representatives focused their enhanced perceptions, seeing for the first time what Vina had discovered. The quantum framework wasn't just a structure, it was a network. Every consciousness in the galaxy was already connected through it, already part of a larger pattern. "We don't need to master quantum consciousness individually," Vina explained. "We need to achieve it collectively. The human guardians aren't here to teach us their power, They're here to show us how to unite our existing powers. Aloy's form expanded, merging with the quantum display to show a new possibility. Imagine every consciousness in the galaxy as a single quantum processor. Apart, we are vulnerable. Together, we become part of reality's operating system itself. The human guardians moved in perfect synchronization, generating a field of pure quantum energy that filled the amphitheater. Within it, every representative could see their role in the larger pattern, how their species' unique consciousness could contribute to a greater whole. The storm approaches, Sarah declared, not to judge us, but to compile us. Reality needs conscious beings to become part of its evolution. The question is, can we set aside our individual pursuits of power to become part of something greater? As if in answer, the void distortions accelerated again. On the quantum display, entire star systems began to disappear, their basic code unraveling into chaos. The time for debate was over. The galaxy faced a choice: evolve together or dissolve separately. Vina, Lysandra, and Rax exchanged glances, knowing that their trials aboard the Stellar Seeker had prepared them for this moment. They had learned that true power came not from controlling reality, but from accepting their role within it. Now they had to teach that lesson to an entire galaxy, and they had to do it before reality's source code decided to start over from scratch. The coming storm wasn't just a threat, it was an opportunity. But first, they had to convince 1,000 different species to do something unprecedented, to trust not just humanity, but each other. The countdown to evolution had begun.